I'm Rabbi SaraLeya, and I'm actually a member of this congregation. Rabbi Myra did my daughter's baby naming here 33 years ago. That makes us both sort of oldish.
When I was in utero.
Well, she was out of utero, and I know you're younger than I am. So anyway, it's a pleasure and an honor to be back here and to lead Friday night services in the absence of the Zobers, the Rabbi's Zober. And but let's begin. So I tend to be a little bit more traditional in my davening style, my prayer style, but I'm going to do my absolute best to stick to the time container that I've been asked to stick to. So I'm going to try really hard for this. So, but let's start together on page 332, which is Yedid Nefesh, which is my default way of starting Shabbat. It's we'll do all 4 verses. I know that's not your tradition usually, but it is a medieval prayer poem called a piyut, and it's structured around the name of the divine. So each verse starts with one of the letters, the Yud, Hey, the Vav, Hey, and it's a love song to God, a love song to however we conceive of God, but it's a love song to the beloved and to all of being, and to the infinite, to the divine, however we would like to think of that which contains everything and all of us. So, Yedid Nefesh of Harachaman Mishoch Avdecha Eritzonecha Yarutz Avdecha Gimo Hayar Ishtachave El Mul HaDarecha Yerov Lo Yedidutecha Minofet Suv V'chol Ta'am. I'm going to take a little drink. I'm going to change the key a little. Adonai Ziv Haolam Nafshi Cholat Avatecha Ana Elna Lefanala Biharos La Noam Sivecha Astin Chazek V'tizrape V'haitala Simchat Olam Vatik Yehemuna Rachamecha V'chusana Al Ben Ahuvecha Ki Zeh Kama Niksof Niksafti Lihira B'Tiferet Uzecha Ana Eli Emdat Libi Chusana V'yatitalam Higalena Ufros Havivi Alai Etzukat Shilamecha Ta'ir Eretz Michvodecha Nagila Nismecha Ach Maherahu Kiva Moed V'chonenu Kimei Olam yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, yalla lai 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 lai, lai lai lai. Let's read together on page 7 in preparation for lighting the Shabbat candles. We'll start in the middle of the page. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and the days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. And so, Jen, would you like to come up and light our candles for us? We welcome Shabbat in holiness. We bring the light of Shabbat, the light of our candles, the light of the world that has existed always. It's the light, actually, that was created on the first day of creation when God said, let there be light. Before the sun.
Inside of the roof.
Inside of the roof?
Inside of the roof is the striker. There you go, yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
So do we rise for this? I usually stand for Shabbat and bring the light into our eyes as Jan lights. And then we magically cover our eyes before we say the blessing. And after the blessing, when we uncover our eyes, it will magically be Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we can all say Shabbat Shalom to somebody near us. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are on Zoom. Do we have many people on Zoom out there in Zoom land? 18 people in the Zoomiverse. Yes, wonderful. In the Zoomashul. Okay. So let us turn to page 14. Speaking of light. So when the light was created, at the very beginning of the creation story, there was so much light that all of the containers shattered, and a little bit was hidden away for those who are on the path of becoming righteous. I call that, my teacher, Miles Krasson, always called us, we're all tzaddikim in training. We're all righteous ones. We're trying to do the best we can, right? And so we're all, that's the path that we're on. And so there's light hidden for all of us. So we'll be in the third paragraph on page 14 at the bottom, singing, Or zarua lat tzaddik uliyishrei lev simcha. Light was sown for the righteous and radiance for the upright. So, Ozaru ala tzadik uli yishrei simcha. Ozaru ala tzadik uli yishrei simcha. Ozaru la tzadik uli yishrei simcha. Ozaru la tzadik uli yishrei simcha. Page 18. Mizmor LaDavid. The special prayer that brings us, the special psalm prayer that brings us into Shabbat. We'll use a Sephardic melody here. Avul Adonai b'nei Elim, Avul Adonai kavod va'oz, Avul Adonai kavod shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hilim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai b'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel Levanon, V'Siryon kemo ben re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzef lavot esh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yachol el ayalot, Vayecheso yehahot, Uvehechalo kulo merkavod, Adonai lamavul Yashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Shechina tivarech et ama b'shalom. May the divine presence bless her people, Israel, those of us who are on that path of struggling with what it means to be a righteous human being and to be in relationship with something that is so amazingly great and infinite. So, next page, page 20. This is always the part of the service on Friday night that I think most of us smile, right? L'chadodi, we welcome the Shabbat Queen, and we imagine ourselves in the north of Israel, right? We imagine ourselves in Sfat or Meron, looking out at the mountains, and as the sun sets, which just happened as I was driving here, it was like, oh my gosh, it was a little challenging to drive from the east to the west with the sun in my eyes. But just imagine that sunset and Shekhinah, the divine presence, arising from the mountains, and you would go out in white to greet the divine presence on Friday evening. And so that's what we're doing. We're greeting Shabbat and bringing her into our lives and into our hearts, and in a way that she will grace us for the next 25 hours with true menucha, true rest, and a true respite from the incredible busyness of our lives. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shama v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tferet v'litchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 3. Mihikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzei mitoch ha'afecha, Rav lach shevet bi'emek habacha, V'hu yachamol alai chemla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, Kiva ore kumi ori uri uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayik nigla lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela. 7. Vahayu l'shimsa shosayich v'rachaku kol miba'alayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Please rise. And we bow to the Shabbat Queen. Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha uvetzala toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We can be seated. Page 22. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, a song, a poem, a prayer, a psalm for Shabbat. Let us count down to from before the indent, 4 lines above. It says Magadlu. Do we see those words? Okay. You may know this. Do we know Shefa Gold's Magadlu in this congregation? Yes. Okay. No, we don't. No. Okay. So let's try the Hallelujah first. Ready? Okay. It goes like this. Hallelujah. Listen to me first. Hallelujah. 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 Let's try that. Okay. Hallelujah. 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 Not very hard. Hallelujah. Okay. Now I can do that. You can keep doing the hallelujahs. And if you want to join me in the descant, which is the Magadlu, it's an amazing line in this psalm. It says, Ma gadlu ma'asacha, your works, O Divine One, are so immense, so great. And your thoughts are, your machshavotecha, are deep. God's thoughts are deep. What does that even mean? I mean, so as we chant this, we can think about, like, what does the psalmist mean here? And why is that part of a psalm for Shabbat? It's it's as mysterious as the idea that God has deep thoughts. So so it goes like this. Let's start the hallelujahs. Ready? Hallelujah. 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 Magadlu Masechaya Meod ameku makshevo techa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Magadlu Masechaya Hallelujah, meod amku maksevotecha. Hallelujah, hallelujah, magadlu masechaya. Hallelujah, meod amku maksevotecha. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So we have received Shabbat. Can you feel her? She's with us. And instead of chanting the Chatzi Kaddish, I thought I would do a little Chatzi Kaddish moment and have a little Devar Tefillah that will hopefully carry us through the Shema and the blessings surrounding the Shema, as well as our silent time for our silent devotion tonight. So I want to share just, we're in the book, as you probably remember from last Shabbat, we're now in the second parsha of the book of Vayikra. The book of Vayikra. Now, book of Vayikra is also called Torat Kohanim, the Torah of the priesthood. And I must say that the majority of people, their eyes just glaze over when we get to this book, because it's all about sacrifices and animals and skin diseases and there's so much what? Pus. Yes, it's visceral. And for someone who practiced medicine for 36 years, I get very excited about this book. But I also, I get extremely excited about this book just because it is so mysterious. And it brings us to all these boundaries. There's inside, and there's outside, there's who's in, who's not, and it's like, what is it about this mindset that we feel the need to have this and that, black and white, good and bad, light and dark, and that you can't even translate the words for pure, impure, or clean and unclean. When I look at the English in the Torah, I go, ugh, because the word tameh and tahor have their own valences in Hebrew that is very hard to bring into English without overtones of the Christian Bible coming into our thoughts, that there's something like impure about someone when they're in a state of tameh. So, and anyway, but that's what this book is about, and I love this book. But I want to bring a little intention for, as a pause before we start the Baruch Hu and the evening service. So, and I want to thank one of the most amazing Torah teachers in the world today, Aviva Zornberg, I've just started, I'm about, 15 or 20% into her newest book on Vayikra and Leviticus. But she spoke about the first word in the book of Vayikra, it just means, and he called. And we presume that this is God calling to Moses. And God is calling to Moses, come on inside now, because at the end of Exodus, I don't know whether you remember, it's this magnificent time where the Mishkan, the tabernacle, is completed and it's filled with the divine presence, and Moses can't go in anymore. At least at that point, he can't. And so at the beginning of this book, we hear this little voice, and it says, Vayikra el Moshe, God, or the divine, called to Moshe, come on, Moses, come back in. This is Aviva speaking, not me. I mean, I'm trying to give you a little taste of what she said. And then she went on this whole other thing, but then she said, well, what are we listening for? At least this is partly my interpretation of what she said. What are we listening for? Well, again, back in the last book of Exodus, most of us have heard the phrase Na'aseh v'nishma. Just go like this if you've heard it. Okay, so a lot of people have heard it, others haven't. It's a phrase that the Israelites repeated or said to the divine, said to God, that they would accept the Torah. I mean, there's lots of stories about like the mountain being held over their heads and them like going, okay, we'll take this Torah. But they said, we'll do it, na'aseh, we will do it, v'nishma, and then we will hear, or then we will understand. In the Talmud, the word Shema that we have in our Shema is all about understanding as much as it is about hearing. So the way Aviva Zornberg brought this, which is really pretty amazing, is that we do stuff. Like we do the best we can living the lives of holiness that we can. We've gotten all these instructions, we've gotten in the Torah supposedly 613 different instructions about how we might choose to live our lives. But we pick and choose, we do what we can. We're doing the best we can to be good people and to live lives of intention. And so we're doing. And so some of the traditional interpretations would say, well, then we do it, and in the doing, we'll come to understand why we're doing it. But she says something really different that I thought was amazing, which I've been trying to use as an intention for my own prayer. She says, we do it. We do what we can. We walk in the world. We're fulfilling the mitzvot. And that's one action, na'aseh. But nishma is that we also have to stop and listen. We have to stop and hear. We have to stop and hear that voice that is calling us into the holy. And so I want to offer us as a floating kavanah, floating intention for this next section of our prayer service, that we be attuned to potentially hearing whatever that voice is that's calling us. And as we know from the prophet Elijah, it could be a loud booming voice and thunder and lightning, or it can be the kol damama daka, the still small voice that we can only hear in our heart. So we don't know what it is or what that voice is. What are we called to do? What is the tikkun? What is the fixing that only each of us can do? Each of us was born into this particular incarnation to do one or two or three or four specific things that nobody else can do. And it's only by listening to that voice that we might get an inkling of what it is that we are meant to be doing in this lifetime. So I just wanted to frame that, took a little bit of time instead of a little long Chatzi Kaddish before we do Baruch Hu, just to give you that frame, because I was so taken in reading this in the last week or so that I just felt I wanted to share this. Anyway, so we'll do, and then of course it becomes a cycle. We listen and we hear, and then we do more, and then we stop and listen again. So it's not like a one-time thing, right? It's something that we're continually working on this path of doing and listening, and doing and listening, and doing and listening. And so let us be on that path together. And our Baruch Hu is on page 28. And my Bay Area young people communities that I love to hang out with, love to do the Noah Aronson Baruch Hu. So I invite you to stand with me. And I guess I can't have the mic if I'm facing away from you, so pretend I'm facing away from you. And we're on page 28. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. It's not in your book, so just follow with me. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach. Baruch Adonai HaMivorach Le'olam Va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La, la, ya, la, 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 la. We can be seated. Page 31. The first blessing before the Shema always has to do about the natural order. And in the evening, it's about that blending of light and dark. So let's read together in English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv, Aravi. Page 32. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha v'ta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסירי ממנו לעולמים, ברוכה את אלוהימה, אוהבת עמה ישראל. Page 34, Shema. It's your custom to rise for Shema.
Some do and some don't.
Some do and some don't. I will cover my eyes as we say Shema. And again, I'm listening for that inner voice as I say Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Through time and space, your glory shines, majestic one. You can be seated. Ve'ahavta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך. Read together with me on page 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you could be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Page 40. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות הספר, יא לי 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 לי, איי 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 יא לי 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 לי, yay 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 ay yay yay ya da 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 ya la la ya la 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 ונאמר כפדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. On page 42, we have the blessing before sleep, where we ask that we be granted the peace to lie down and also the peace to be raised up in the morning. The third line down, Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha, spread over us your tent, your sukkah of peace. Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha ושמור צאתנו ובאנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל ירושלים. We prepare now for some moments of silence. And I offer you two choices. Actually, there's more choices. You can take a walk. But for a few moments, we will move into silence. We will not be doing the first three blessings out loud tonight. I want to invite us just to move into the silence of our own evening prayer. If the words of the tefillah are on pages 48 to 62, if you wish to use the words of the tefillah and the siddur, you may be standing or sitting. Whatever is most conducive for you to meditate and to hear that voice that is speaking to us always. There's always a bat kol, a divine voice coming out from Sinai, from, I guess this place is Sinai, right? From coming out from Sinai that speaks to us constantly. And I invite us to tune in to that divine voice as we take a few minutes of silence. We'll begin on page 46 with the preamble to that. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sifatai, tiftach, ufi agid, tehila, tehila, Please continue if you're still praying on your own behalf. So, Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. Yalla la 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 la, oh say shalom imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom. It is time for Torah. So I'd like to invite, I guess it's Laura and Ignacio are going to be helping us with this part of the service. We are on page 244, and we will bring Torah out, and then we will do a rousing Kimitzion for the Hakafa. So please rise as the ark is open on page 244. En kamocha ba'elohim Adonai v'en kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor adon. This one's rolled, yeah. There we go. It's a little heavy, yeah, but a little heavy. Okay, I'll close the ark behind you. Okay. Do you want to do the Shema or do you want to? Yeah. We're on page, where did the Shema go? Page 248. Okay. No, this one. Shema.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shema
Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shmo, Gadol Adonai Iti, U'Romim Hashemo Yachdav. The words are on the top of 246. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. 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 Yalai la la la, yalai la 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 la, yalai la la, yalai la la la, yalai la la la, yalai la 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 la, yalai la la la, yalai la 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 la, yalai la la la, yalai la la la, yalai. La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Let's turn this side so I can get easier. La 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Please be seated. Ignacio. We are reading, I think, do we all have this little thing? Yes? Okay, so we all have the verses, so you can follow along in the English. Ignacio, how long ago was it that you read these verses before?
2018.
2018, so okay.
A little while.
So we want to thank Ignacio for reading Parshat Tzav, which is also my boys' bar mitzvah portion. It had nothing to do with their birthday. We'll talk about it a little bit after we finish all the tefillot. So, okay, let me move this off the table with the Sefer Torah on it. So, where's my little paper here with, okay. Ya'amod Yisrael Yitzchak ben Sarah Avraham la'aliyah. Okay, so we have to find the spot again. I think it's the 9th line down here. There it is. Im neder. That's where you're starting. You got it? Okay.
Barechu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So the Im neder here.
Ve'im neder o nedava zebach korbano beyom hakrivo et zivcho ye'achel umimochorat ve'anotar mimenu ye'achel ve'anotar mibzar hazavach bayom hashishi ba'esh yisaref ve'im he'achol ye'achel מבזר זבח שלמיו ביום השלישי לא ירצה המקריב אותו לא יחשב לא פיגול יהיה והנפש האוכלת ממנו עוונה תישא. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Torato, asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Beautiful reading. All right, now I've got to get the pages out of here so I can give you a bracha. You need a bracha for that. All right. And really Ignacio is standing in for all of us because this blessing, you couldn't read Torah unless all of you showed up to make the kahal possible for reading Torah. So I just need to get my page and then we'll be all set. 252 if you want to follow along with me. מי שברך אמותינו ואבותינו על שרה רבקה, לאה ורחל, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את ישראל יצחק בן שרה ואברהם, בעבור שעלה לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה בשכר זה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרהו ויצילהו מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו עם כל ישראל אחיו ואחיותיו, ונאמר Amen. So Yasher koach. Okay, so if we could all stand at the bottom of page 252, we're going to do as good a job as we can because there's no way that I can lift this Torah, and so we're going to show you the words that we read. So let's see, if you take the back of the Torah and we'll raise her like this and we'll open her up so you can see her, but we're not going to lift. So, but Myra, would you lead Vizot for me, please? Vizot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Help me lower it. Okay. And Galila is, Jen, was that you again? Were you going to help her? I have my list here. Okay. Ta'amot HaGalila. What? Ma?
Neshama Shalvit.
Neshama Shalvit, Bat,
Eric,
Eric,
Margaret.
Margaret. Okay, so Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la. I should take that. La la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. So stay with me while we do a Misha. Can you hold it?
Yes, I
Not
can.
too heavy?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can be seated for a moment. We will do a Misha Berach for the sick, and I invite all of you to bring the names whom we're praying for. Do we have a communal list that I'm supposed to read? There should be one up here. Let's see. I have a yard site list. The back of the yard site
That was
list,
the other one.
this one.
Yeah. Turn it around, maybe.
Misha Ber. Okay, I've got it. Okay. So I'll say these names, and then I'll invite the community to also offer names for healing. It's a really important moment when we have Torah out, and we can truly ask for alignment of body, mind, and spirit. Whatever is troubling any of the beings who are beloveds of ours. So, Heather Alfonso, Laura Bartelson, Kathy Bartlett, Tracy Bartlett, Laura Borshoff, Sue Berkhammer, Laura Cohen, Robert Dickens, Alan Gordon, Stephen Gould, Margaret Haberlin, Marlene Harris, Harvey Higdon, Ronan Kerr, Renee Kerr, Kevin Knox Levine, Harav Miriam Bat Shifra V'Pinchas, that's Rabbi Emerita Myra Seifer, Harav Yael Chaya Bat Sarah, Marcia Prager of Aleph, Tim Ober, Judy Ramos, J. Martin Rolnick, Sarah Bat Chava, Marianne Schenker, Steve Weidman, Bobby Wells, Leah Wilds, Usher Zalik, everyone affected by the coronavirus, the Jewish communities and other communities of Ukraine. And I know that we all have in our hearts Louisville and all the other places in the last week in Israel and Palestine where there have been people who've lost their lives or become ill or injured. And we hold everyone who is suffering and all the beings who are suffering in our hearts. Are there other names that we'd like to bring into the room? I'll just go around like this.
Burns Martin, Rich Brown, Nancy Niles, Emma Butler, Vegan.
Melissa Peters.
Do we have?
Angela Moffat, Ronan and Renee Kirk.
Thank you. Are there any names that need to be read from Zoom, or do we do that? They're on the. They get posted. Okay. All right. So we're on page 253, and we'll chant Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach together. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we will be on page 2. That can't be right. 252? No, it can't be right. Is that right? No, that's Hagba. I've got the wrong. It's Eitz Chaim He. What page? 256? Okay, right at the bottom. Please rise as we replace our beautiful Torah in her home in the Aron. And let's put her back in. Yeah, we'll do it together. Yeah. After we finish Eitz Chaim, you can close the ark. Okay. Eitz Chaim He lama chazikim ba v'tom cheha meusha deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu And we can be seated. So as I predicted to myself, it was going to be very hard to hold the time container. So do we have time for a few minutes of a Devar Torah, do you think? Or yeah, we're good? Okay, I will keep it short since I gave a little Devar Tefillah, a little word of prayer about prayer before. So today, I'm not going to talk a lot about sacrifices, which is actually the topic of the Torah portion that we're in, because today is a really special Shabbat. And in fact, it's called Shabbat HaGadol, and it's named after the Haftarah, the prophetic reading for the Shabbat before Passover. And in the tradition, Shabbat HaGadol was one of the two Shabbatot during the year when the rabbi actually gave a sermon. Before, other than that, it was, homilies and people would get up and talk. I don't know exactly what happened, but these are the two times that the rabbi is actually supposed to be up and talk to you. And it's like, I think I'm supposed to get out the metaphoric, whip kind of thing and say, get ready for Pesach, which I'm not going to do. But because we'll each prepare for Pesach in the way that we can and the way that we feel called to as we clear out those little, I love this word in the rabbinic tradition. So Pesach is really different than the keeping kosher for Pesach is quantitatively different from keeping kosher the rest of the year, because the rest of the year, it's either the taste of something or 1/60th of something that's forbidden, quote unquote, gets mixed in with a mixture and you can still be kosher. But on Pesach, the standard is, I love this Hebrew word, it's called mashahu. It's just great. Mashahu means, what is it? Like, what is it? And I always think of it as like a nanoparticle or like an I can't say the word, a nanoparticle of chametz. In other words, we're supposed to not have anything puffed up anywhere near us. And of course, that's a metaphor for searching the nooks and crannies inside our own souls with the light, the light and the feather that we do the night before Pesach, to really clear out what we can before Pesach, and then have 7 days of living without food that is comparable to our metaphoric puffed upness, whether we call it ego, whether we call it anger, jealousy, whatever. Each of us has our own path and our own midah. Midah means a soul trait. Each of us has our own soul traits, our own issues that we're working on this Pesach. The Pesach is a time to clear it out as much as we can before Pesach, and then declare the rest null and void, and spend 7 days in this place of almost holiness, but it's almost a place of emptiness, a place where we can really allow that voice to be heard and allow spaciousness in our hearts for what's coming. Because remember that this month, the month of Nisan, is actually the first month of the year in the Bible. We think of Rosh Hashanah in the fall as the first month of the year. That's one of the other firsts of the year, but this is truly the first of the year in the spring, which I think is really beautiful. So on Shabbat HaGadol, it's my job to say something about Pesach. And I wanted to speak about the Haftarah today, and I'll just speak very briefly because I know the time is late. This Haftarah ends with, I think, well, first of all, it's the last section of the whole book of the prophets. It ends with the prophet Malachi, I think Malachi in English, Malachi in Hebrew. And it's the last book of the prophets. And it ends with a hint about what it is to be redeemed. Now remember that we're being redeemed as we come out of Egypt. That's one kind of redemption. And we speak about freedom, freedom to do something, freedom from something. There's so many ways of thinking of freedom. But Malachi has a different idea for us. And I think what Malachi is telling us, which is something that is very timely, it's something that's floating around the zeitgeist of our current world, which is, I think that Malachi is telling us that the ultimate redemption is the healing of intergenerational trauma. And let me read to you the end of Malachi. And let's all think together about what this might mean for us as we're gathering with family, maybe family, could be chosen family or birth family, with other people, friends on Pesach. So he says, "Lo," I'll read you the English from the JPS translation. "Lo, I will send the prophet Elijah, Eliyahu." Now we know there's a kos Eliyahu. There's a cup for Eliyahu in our Seder plate, right? And there's an interesting, not our Seder plate, our Seder table. And there's an interesting piece that we can speak about Eliyahu in a minute. But, "Lo, I will send the prophet Elijah to you before the coming of the fearful day of the Lord." In other words, the world that is coming is going to come with thunder and trembling, and Elijah is going to announce the coming of Messiah, whatever that means, the coming of the transformation of consciousness until such a time that we all finally get it, that there is only one. To me, that's what Messianic consciousness means, that Messiah is not a person who is showing up, but it's that we all get to that place of truly understanding, not just in our minds, but in our hearts and our bodies, that we're all one. He says, on that awesome, fearful day, on that Yom Norah v'Gadol, this is that's one of the reasons this is called Shabbat HaGadol, and it's the same word, Norah, awesomeness, that is for the holidays that are in the 6 months from now, in the fall. We call them the Yamim Noraim, the awesome days, the days of awe. Okay, so Elijah will reconcile parents with children and children with parents, so that when I do come, I will not strike the land with utter destruction. Elijah will reconcile parents with children and children with parents. What an incredible vision. I mean, these are literally the last words in the entire book of the prophets. But that's the vision that we have, that the task that we're moving towards is that reconciliation across generations, because we all know, whether it's generations in human families or generations in nations, that if we don't heal our trauma, we enact it on somebody else, that the victim perpetrator cycle just keeps going and going and going until we put a stop to it. And I think that Elijah is asking us to take that seriously, that is the work of Pesach, that is the work that we're coming to at our Seder. And how profound that is, as we, some of us, will be with family, and we know how hard that is, right? It's not always easy to sit with family at Seder. I'm seeing some laughing in the congregation. Maybe that's why I'm going to the desert with Wilderness Torah with 350 non-family members and going to camp for Pesach. But what is it that we can do in our lives, in our path of pursuing justice, pursuing tikkun olam, the repair of the world, tikkun hanefesh, repair of ourselves? We have that responsibility to take to be Elijah, and to reconcile the parents with the children and the children with their parents. And that is, to me, the way of redemption. And how profound that we read this Haftarah on Shabbat HaGadol right before Pesach. So yes, Pesach is about not eating matzah and clearing out all the chametz. And we're in the middle of the book of sacrifices, and we can ask that question, like, what does it mean to sacrifice? And what does it mean to bring my most precious gift to my beloved, to the beloved God, or to my other beloveds in my life? And that's actually a line, a message from Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs. That's what he says on this week's Torah commentary on Parshat Tzav, that we are bringing our most precious gift to our beloveds. And how beautiful if that's what we do at our Seder, or that's what we do during Pesach, or doing the Omer and getting to Shavuot, that we bring that most precious gift. We bring of what really hurts us to give. Isn't that what a sacrifice might be? We bring what it really hurts us to give. We give that to our beloveds so that we can make peace. And we know that one of the highest values in Judaism is called Shalom Bayit. It's keeping peace in the house. So peace among your friends, your neighbors, your family. And so I want to give us a bracha, the bracha of Eliyahu, that we listen to his words and we repeat his words. You can find them, in Sefaria, whatever. If you have a Tanakh, it's if you have a Tanakh or a Chumash with the Haftarot in there, you'll find his words. But that we take those words seriously, and that we do what we can to bring that redemption, to heal the intergenerational trauma. That's the current buzzword, I think, that's all over the internet and all over, I don't know, certainly in my Jewish community. There's so many workshops about that right now. But it's important, and it's the work that we need to do to be able to move to the next level of our existence together on this planet. And so that's my bracha for all of us on Shabbat HaGadol. So, Shabbat Shalom. So, yeah. And we'll bring this service to a conclusion. As my teacher, Reb Zalman, used to say, we're coming in for a landing. That's the way he would describe it. So we will, there's a section in the Siddur, which is both Aleinu and Mourner's Kaddish. And it begins on page 283. And I just want to find the line that I wanted to share with you, which is it's all of one, all of everything that my mouth wants to speak is all of one. There's a line in the Aleinu that I want to point out, which is, I think it has to be in here. Okay, let's all look on page 284 together. Okay. The last 4 lines of that paragraph. It says, V'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, v'al ha'aretz mitachat ein od. And return this to your hearts, that Yud He Vav He, that Adonai, that all-encompassing is, was, will be aspect of the divine, is Elohim. It's the same thing. Elohim is the more narrowly conceived of divine that we can each relate to. One is the transcendent, as one could say, one being the immanent divine. The divine, my personal God, is Elohim, and Yud He Vav He is the is, was, will be of all. But they're the same. That God out there and the God in here are the same. And our job is to bring that into our hearts all the time. It's really the same message as we got from Eliyahu. So I invite us to rise, and I'm going to ask Sierra and Jeanette to come open the ark for the Aleinu. And we'll begin just with the first few lines on page 282, and then we'll move toward the end. So actually, I think we'll use the lines on page 283 instead. Oh, great. We have some helpers. All right, would you open the ark for us? Can you open those doors? Yeah, beautiful. Okay. What? Yeah. What's in there? What are they? Are they the Torah scrolls? Yeah. Do you guys want to give me a kiss? Can you go touch like this and then kiss? Touch with your hands. Beautiful. Okay. Aleinu לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Read together on page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Oh, may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 287. Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz. Hayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. You can close the doors. And thank you very much. Everybody want to give them a big thank you? Thank you so much. We can be seated. Okay, I'm going to try to get this all correct. We have lots of names to read. It is on page 288 is Kaddish Yatom, the Kaddish of the orphans. We have Anita Goldwasser and Lorenzo Otero, who are in Shloshim the past 30 days of the death. Anita's the mother. Is that Anita Goldwasser is the one who's passed. She's the mother of Jill Greiner and the grandmother of Adam, Jacob, and Rachel. Is it Greiner or Greener? Greiner. Okay. And then we have Lorenzo Otero, who is the grandfather of Rabbi SaraLeya and the great-grandfather of Toby, Naomi, and Ramona Iser. In the first year of mourning, we have Edward Gingold, Cookie Javinsky, Carl Weinberg. These are the people who've passed. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. The names of the past: Jeff Blank, Richie Zorn, Catherine Linsky Foley, Henry or Hank Frolich. Is that right? Frolich? Yeah. Okay. So, help me with this. Setsuko Olunichuk. Thank you. Barbara Gonzalez, Aaron Yosef, Tova Bat Meyer Vitirtza, Raymond Russell Riker, Judith Tamkin, David Torjman. And the yard sites, there's a long list of yard sites. Marion Braverman Blackmore, Rachel Nussbaum, Rebecca Robinson, Linda Moses Burns, Abraham Gordon, Sadie Herman, Seymour Albert Reicher, is that correct? Reicher. Bernard Gerber, Regina Moskowitz, yes. Joseph Schley is my father. Lucian A. Zentner, Rabbi Michael J. Cook, Ronnie Gorelick, Jane Crowenbuhl, did I get that right? Yes, okay. Charlie Perlman, Jessica Younger, Simon Goffney, Ashton Hawkins, Abe Lutzker, Lucy Bretzfelder, Sadie Dickens Jaffe, Gloria A. Cladney, Fanny Nussbaum, Sharon Perlman, Judith Omel Simpson, and I think that's our list. So are there any of those folks who have a yard site or in Shloshim or the first year of mourning? Are they in the congregation today? Please rise if that is one, if you are one of them. I guess I'm the only one in that period. And please rise if it's your custom to rise for mourners Kaddish, to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, or to support those of us who are saying Kaddish. And the words of Kaddish are on page 294. A lot of readings beforehand. Okay. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romeha. He ta'aseh shalom aleinu v'al Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May these words of the Kaddish bring comfort to those of us who are remembering beloveds, and may it bring an aliyah lifting up through all of the seven heavens of those souls who have passed as they come to their eternal resting place. And we all say, Amen. So I'm not going to try to do the announcements. Do we have someone who could do the, Laura, will you do the announcements, please? And just to give you a little preparation, we're going to turn back to page 24 for our final prayer song. Yes.
Hello, all. Thank you, of course, to our wonderful visiting rabbis, SaraLeya, and to Ignacio for chanting. Thank you, of course, to Jen Wulff for helping us greet and also carry off the Torah service. To Tova McGilvray and to Ron Seidowitz, who is helping with tech tonight. We couldn't do it without them. And to Crystal and all of the many Bartletts who make our the ends of service possible. We need them. Just a reminder, we do need additional volunteers in the future to chant Torah. You are welcome to contact the rabbis or Marilyn Roberts to set that up. We also need more live stream texts. You can talk to Tova about that or send an email to Michael Gordon. If you are visiting us virtually tonight, please do stay on the line for the Yisma Zoom that Laura and Chris Ashkin host every week. If you need the login information, that is at templesinai.org/live. Tomorrow, Torah study is on. They are all the way up to Exodus 5:1. So many congratulations. And as always, login information is on the website. This Saturday, April 1st, at the very specific time of 4:05 p.m., please join us in supporting Matthew Slamowitz's Bar Mitzvah project at the Reno Aces game. It's supposed to be mid-50s on Saturday and sunny, so, you get something out of it too. They are raising funds for the ADL and FCAS. There are no Sunday events, no Sinai school, no family service. We will see you next week. If you already signed up for Wednesday's Temple Sinai Community Passover Seder, please do join everyone else at 6. Otherwise, buy your tickets earlier next year. Just kidding. Yes, and then coming in 2 weeks, Saturday, April 15th. This is the last of our Havdalah events for this winter. Please join us at 6:30 p.m. for Pajama Havdalah. I think Mara Langer is coming in and doing some PJ Library stuff. We'll be there with a small one. You should bring yours. It'll be super cute. And last but not least, Sunday, April 16th at 10:30 a.m., the Northern Nevada Camp Fail at Temple Sinai is happening. I don't know what that is, but I really want to. There's an L in here. Okay, well, whichever is your preference, Camp Fair, if you have children to send away, or Camp Fail, I'll be on the other side of the building doing that. All right. Thank you so much. And our ending number is?
Shalom Aleichem on page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu. Malachei shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shivtem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kiddush is on page 4 and 5. Please rise if it's your tradition to rise. It's my tradition to rise, at least for the Vayechulu. So, Vayerev Boker Yom HaShishi, Vayechulu HaShamayim VeHaaretz, V'chol Tzivam, Vayechol Elohim Bayom HaShevi'i, Melachto Asher Asa, Vayishpot Bayom HaShevi'i, Mikom Melachto Asher Asa, Vayivarech Elohim et Yom HaShevi'i, Vayikadesh Oto, Kivo Shavat Mikom Melachto, Asher Bara Elohim La'asot. Savri Chaverai. You have to say L'chaim. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'hava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila limikrae kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu vacharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikomim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'yahava uvratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Oh, perfect. No, I'm glad it was grape juice. Okay. So, wait till you see this challah. Woo! So I'm going to I'll lift up our hands in holiness. So the verse that goes along with the bracha that we would use if we were washing our hands is Se'u Yadechem Kodesh. Lift up your hands in holiness. V'varech et Hashem, and bless God. So we all dedicate our hands and the works of our lives to only good deeds and only to bring more and more kedusha, more holiness, more divinity into the world. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So everybody should have a little bite of this challah. It's going to be Pesach soon, so you have to enjoy your challah this Shabbat. So, and I think that's it. I think Shabbat Shalom. I think we should say Shabbat Shalom to everybody here. And it's really been it's so much fun to be back here. And so there are a lot of papers up here. So Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.